Scientists sometimes joke that the depths of the world ocean are worse explored than the dark side of the moon. In fact, it's not really a joke. The ocean is only a few percent explored. There are plenty of places underwater where no one's ever seen, and the water itself is far more intimidating than it may seem. I suggest that you take a trip through the ocean to get to know it better. This is Infinity, and in this episode I'll tell and show you that the ocean is much deeper and scarier than you thought. The ocean is a huge and deep place, and everyone knows it. But do you know how deep the ocean is? Anything deeper than 200 meters is officially considered deep. Even 200 meters is pretty hefty, but the average depth of the world ocean is even deeper. It's about 3.5 kilometers. As many as 4 Burj Khalifas stacked on top of each other will hide under such a depth. But this isn't the limit. We can go lower and lower for a long time until we touch the Mariana Trench, the deepest point in the ocean. It's about 11 kilometers deep, which means that if we rip Everest off the ground and drop it into the Mariana Trench, it'll be completely gone, leaving another couple of kilometers of water above it. The Mariana Trench is an incredibly remote place, so much so that about as many people have been here as have been to the moon. Given the average depth of the ocean, as well as its huge area, it's not surprising that it's poorly studied. Researchers call the figure 5%. This means that many different unknown creatures lurk in the watery depths. Scientists believe that they have not yet discovered more than 1.5 million species of animal that can hide in great depths. Discovery of new species occur regularly, so it's possible that sooner or later scientists will reveal to the world real monsters, which all this time lived at a depth of several kilometers. It's quite possible that among them will be creatures that were thought to be extinct. Even megalodon sharks can be found in the water's depths. So far it sounds strange, but don't jump to conclusions. In 1938, a coelacanth, thought to be extinct 65 million years ago, was found in South African waters. Megalodon lived and became extinct much later than the prehistoric coelacanths, so anything's possible. Scientists can also find monsters that were thought to be mythical. This is confirmed by the discovery of the deep-sea giant squid, the prototype of the legendary kraken. Until the mid-19th century, these squids were considered fiction, and until the beginning of the 21st century, these creatures were never seen in their natural habitat. Now, giant squids, which are up to 20 meters long, no longer seem surprising. Who knows? Maybe there are mermaids, sirens, sea serpents, and leviathans roaming the ocean. Just like in deep-sea squids, they didn't believe in rogue waves before. Just a few decades ago, they were considered a fairy tale and a fiction of sailors who exaggerated their exploits. Now the phenomenon's been confirmed. Killer or rogue waves are one of the most frightening phenomena you can encounter on the high seas. These waves appear suddenly, right in the middle of the ocean sea, reaching up to 30 meters in height. When such a huge wave, as high as a 10-story building, moves toward the ship, there is practically no chance for it to survive. Killer waves demolish and destroy everything in their path. It's not for nothing that they're nicknamed killers. Although the existence of such waves has been proven, scientists are still unable to determine the nature of the rogue waves. According to one version, they arise as a result of mixing of smaller waves under the influence of powerful currents and strong winds in the open sea. Eerily, it's almost impossible to predict the appearance of such a powerful force. Let's dive back into the depths. The ocean, even without any creatures, can frighten many people. Some of them even have thalassophobia, or fear of the sea and open, boundless spaces. It's understandable. It's very scary when there's nothing nearby, and under you there are only kilometers of water. There are lots of creepy creatures in these waters. Speaking of these creatures, look at this picture. It looks like algae or some other vegetation on the bottom, doesn't it? But they're actually snakes. Yeah, these creatures live not only on land but also in water. And marine reptiles can be even more dangerous than their land congeners. They belong to the elapids family, which includes such monsters as the black mamba and king cobra. And the Dubois sea snake is the third most venomous snake in the world. Although sea snakes rarely attack humans, you must be very vigilant when exploring the seabed. Snakes disguise themselves as rocks, underwater plants, or algae, so you can easily step on them and get a fatal bite. In addition to sea snakes, there are plenty of other creepy creatures in the ocean. Take, for example, the sea devil. One look at this creature with giant teeth, ugly appearance, and flashlight is enough to have a heart attack. The good thing is that these monsters live at a depth of 3.5 kilometers. Just above that level, the black swallower swims. It's the most voracious deep-sea inhabitant. This fish can swallow prey which is 10 times heavier than its weight. There have been cases where black swallowers have died from gluttony. They swallowed huge fish, but their stomach couldn't digest it. Let's not forget about sharks. In the world ocean, you can find all kinds of these toothy creatures. Some swim near the surface, attacking people, and some are very difficult to reach. Take, for example, the goblin shark. This terrible creature is found at a depth of more than 200 meters all over the world. For this reason, scientists still haven't been able to properly study the species. The world ocean is famous not only for its scary creatures, but also for no less scary sounds. At a great depth, you can hear such sound that, compared to them, horror movie soundtracks will seem like a pleasant lullaby to you. One of the most mysterious sounds is called the bloop. It's a low-frequency sound that was recorded several times in 1997. You can't hear it without equipment, but if you speed up the original sound 16 times, you get a roaring sound that gives you the creeps. What creature could have made it? Even though it's been 25 years, scientists still haven't come to a consensus. According to one version, the bloop sound is explained by the shaking of the ice fields in Antarctica or the scraping of icebergs on the ocean floor. But what if that's not the case, and the bloop sound was made by a deep-sea monster? You do remember that only about 5% of the ocean's been studied, and scientists have hundreds of thousands of new species to discover, right? The loud-voiced monster may well be one of them. Write in the comments what you think it might look like. To me, the creature that made the bloop sound must have been of unreal size. Most likely it would be several times the size of the blue whale itself, but it's not the only huge creature in the world ocean that are of interest. In 2012, scientists discovered something at the bottom of the ocean that may speak in favor of the existence of alien life. I'm talking about microbes. They've survived to this day from the times when dinosaurs still walked the earth. What makes this finding strange is not only that the microbes were alive, but also that they survived for 86 million years. With little oxygen and no fresh food, these microbes managed to survive until now. Scientists believe that if microbes have managed to survive in such condition for tens of millions of years, this means that alien life exists. So many things have perished in the depths of the sea, including many species of animals and cities, but the microbes have proven resilient. Sunken cities are something you can easily find at the bottom of the ocean. Japan's Yonaguni ruins, China's Shishang, Jamaica's Port Royal, Israel's Atlit Yam. Once these places were full of life, but now they're engulfed by water. Underwater cities look appealing and particularly creepy. Take, for example, the ruins of the Italian city of Baiae. It once occupied a picturesque coastal area in the Bay of Naples, but went underwater as a result of volcanic activity several centuries ago. The lifeless ruins, the tranquil reef-covered statues, the fragments of villas now inhabited by sea creatures are all fascinating and at the same time disturbing. I wouldn't want to stumble upon such a thing underwater. But perhaps the highest level of anxiety can be experienced not by looking at the ruins of underwater cities or creepy sea creatures, but by being in Point Nemo. It's a point in the Pacific Ocean which is the furthest from any land. There's no land or people there, just salt water for thousands of kilometers in all directions, and thousands of kilometers of sea abyss below. The closest inhabited place is Easter Island. It's located 2,688 kilometers from Point Nemo. To make you better understand the frightening scale of this lonely place, here's an interesting fact. If you are in this place, the astronauts in space on the ISS will periodically find themselves closer to you than anyone else. That's the case when space is closer than anything on Earth. Merchant ships don't go through Point Nemo, and tourists don't come here. After all, if something happens in this place, you'll never come home. But for me, the most curious thing is that the flooded city of R'lyeh, invented and described by writer Lovecraft, is not so far from Point Nemo. In Lovecraft's stories, it's there where the mythical monster Cthulhu resides. Maybe that's what made the creepy bloop sound. Maybe it's what caused the killer waves. And maybe that's what scientists will one day discover. That's all, guys. Would you like to dive into the great depths of the ocean? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you later.